Have you ever taken a gamble on something that you felt really passionate about, but you just had no way of knowing which way it would go and whether it would all work out okay? That is, in a nutshell, how I felt about my 2024, especially the second half, and it's been a little bit wild. I've done a lot of things this year. Hi, my name is Emily Dimes. I am a singer-songwriter. I released my first original single. I got offered a publishing deal. I started working with K-pop producers and songwriters and have a few songs now in pitch. I performed at a K-pop festival. I performed at 4 weddings. I did a lot of meeting other people and doing smaller gigs, and it's been amazing. I also left my full-time job and started doing full-time freelancing, and I also got engaged, and I also decided to move countries. This is honestly too many things to cover in one video, but yeah, it's been a bit crazy. It's been a year of completely new things and experimentation and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So I'm here to show you what I've learned, and also to say that if you have been waiting for that sign to go jump in and do something completely new and fresh and exciting, I'm not that much of a risk taker, to be honest. As long as you have a safety net, just go for it. You never know what could happen. And for me, I realized that this is such a common expression, but growth begins at the end of our comfort zone. And I realized that I was so comfortable staying in my comfort zone that I wasn't really progressing, and I was trying my best in all my free time to work towards all my additional kind of side hustle goals. And I realized I keep putting in so much effort into all of my different, plan C, D, E, F, that I wasn't pursuing my plan A. I hadn't even tried plan A before I'd kind of skipped a step, and I just thought, why? What is the point if I'm not actually going to try? I got to do a few amazing things before half of the year had even passed. I was doing full-time work in social media management. I learned so much in that role, and I'm so grateful for having worked there. I have found a new love again for creation and realized in my own personal channel how much more I want to show of myself, how much I kind of have become a bit personalityless over the years because I got a bit scared about how I'd be perceived. So that's also something that we'll be working on going forward. In summer of this year, I decided to do something huge and completely out of my comfort zone, which was to leave the country and go try something somewhere else. I don't know how to emphasize enough that I grew up in the countryside. London was a little bit too much for me. I am I'm kind of sheltered, and I was terrified to go do something in a place where I knew only a few people and I knew of how things work, but I wasn't that familiar. Everything is different when you go to a new culture and a new place. But I took the leap. I decided to go for it. I wasn't able to work remotely as a social media manager, so I left that position and decided to go all in the music stuff. That's when I started making promo materials for my original song. It's called Till It Fades Away. If you haven't, go listen to it. I recommend it. It's perfect for this time of year. This sounds like a pitch, and that's because it is, but also I genuinely believe this. I actually love setting goals and reflecting, but if things feel like they're getting difficult at the end of the year, then reflection can be quite a painful process. So if you are going through something and you need that little bit of comfort in someone telling you everything is going to be alright, just be kind to each other and it will be okay, then that is exactly what Till It Fades Away will give you. So please do give it a listen if that sounds like something you might need right now. I think that in the process of figuring out how I wanted to talk about the song, I realized a lot about my own emotions and who I wanted to be as a performer, what issues I want to talk about, what things I want to say that maybe people aren't saying. It's difficult to tell people, hey, my life is great, everything is going well, but I'm struggling. Or I've just had a big change in my life that I don't know how to deal with, and now I'm finding it hard. And it can be really hard to have those conversations. So a lot of my feeling has been inwardly opening up and accepting that if I want to really share my honest self, then I need to essentially open myself up for critique, but also open myself up to deepening connections with the people around me. Creating my first song took a long time. If you saw the videos I made in advance, you would know it was a process of about 4 years. And I think that none of my future songs should take that long, but it was a really insightful experience. I learned so much about production, recording vocals, and who I wanted to be as an artist. I remember telling a friend at work, after all of this, I didn't know if I felt the song was good enough to be single material. And she said sometimes people who have made the art aren't in the best position to judge how good it is. Like, there are famous people who have put out songs because they were pressured by the people around them to say like, hey, this is really good, you should do something with it. Like, Ed Sheeran didn't want to have Shape of You as a single. Rosé wanted to delete APT. There are countless examples of people not believing in what ends up being their most successful work. So if you don't put it out and you don't try, then you'll never know. Release day was a really weird one for me, actually. I felt like I had had so much expectation and anticipation building up to this moment, and it's a huge accomplishment, but on the actual day it was a little bit anticlimactic. Like, I was exhausted. I was too tired to really celebrate properly. I was so aware of all the things that I still had to continue to do, but I was just so tired that I didn't have the energy in me. So that was also a good lesson, that I need to pace myself a bit more next time. The main thing that I've realized through this experience has been that putting all of my time into my own music and, you know, creation journey, that's as a singer and a songwriter, and also doing content creation, I've just seen the world start to open up, just reaching out to people and telling them what I do and being confident with it. It's like there are loads of these opportunities here that I couldn't access because I didn't believe enough in what I was doing. If somebody asked me what I did, then I felt like I couldn't tell them I was a singer-songwriter because I had a full-time job that was separate. So I would start with, oh, I do social media management, but I also write songs. And just by positioning it like that, I think I was treating myself less seriously. I am also a professional social media manager. That is also something I do, and it's something that I'm proud of. But at the core of who I am a creative, I am a musician. Once I started telling people that that's what I did and who I was, things just started falling together. I met a lot of people who were interested in working with me. I met people running radio shows who wanted to talk to me and who were happy to play my music on their shows. I've started discussions with a couple of companies about songwriting deals and sync deals. The thing that I'm trying to say with this is not that, wow, it's amazing, I've accomplished all these things, but rather I could have accomplished all these things sooner if I'd approached my own craft and the way I talked about it in a different way. I think it was really that feeling of trusting in what I was doing and putting myself out there and telling other people exactly what I did and who I was looking for that just allowed those opportunities to come to me. So I'm not sure if you know actually, but a couple of years ago I was doing full-time freelance, but I ended up focusing in a sort of different area. I hadn't quite worked out how to find people within music, so I ended up going down an acting and dancing route, and that was also incredible. I'd love to talk about that more in depth another time. So many things started happening. I was hired as a professional dancer with very little training. I did musical theatre growing up, and that was about it. I hadn't really taken dance lessons, but they hired me and they paid me as a dancer. I got featured in roles when I turned up as just an extra because they liked my enthusiasm and my energy. Things started coming together in areas that I wasn't trying to actively pursue. Looking back at that now and seeing the same thing finally happening with music, which is where my true passion has always been, I'm realizing that the fact I cared so much about my music was the thing that was holding me back. It was the fact that I cared so much that I didn't want to do anything until I was ready.
The problem wasn't the caring, but the fact that the pressure became bigger in my head than the prospect of success.
And every opportunity that came felt like too big a deal for me to decide in the moment and just go for it. So I was hesitating and saying no to things that I could have just gone and tried. One of the main things I've learned this year has just been that if you open yourself up to new opportunities, then they will come. And it sounds like such an obvious thing, but it took me a while to figure that out. Now here I am starting to build something that's really my own and starting to do what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. Little backstory. As a child, I started singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on repeat at 2 years old. I was the first person in the class to say, I want to be a singer when I grow up. And I looked around at me, and so did every other little girl in that class. And then over the years, they all seemed to grow out of it, and I still wanted that. I started taking singing lessons, I did musical theatre, I learned piano, I did a little bit of guitar, I started learning how to mix, I started creating covers and translating lyrics, making my own piano arrangements, and even started recently learning the drums. Being a singer-songwriter or a songwriter for others, that's always been the goal and the dream. Now I can feel something building.
The point being that building your skills might feel really slow and tedious at the beginning, but in the long run, it's going to come back to help you.
I can't tell you how many moments I've had where I have drafted an entire post to put on social media and clipped a video together and done all the editing and then looked at it and thought, I don't want to post this. I don't know how people are going to respond. What if my friends see it or my family sees it and think I'm being too deep trying to talk about the music I make and what it means to me? They're those intrusive thoughts that I could recognize were happening and weren't helpful, but they were really hard to push away. I would just click the post button, wait till it finished loading, and then just exit the app and turn everything off for an hour, because I just didn't want to see, and I didn't want to be tracking whether anyone was watching or anyone was excited. But I did it anyway, and for my single, I'm really glad I did this actually. I created a promotional schedule, which I then published, and the reason I did that is because I am very inspired by K-pop, and I think the marketing styles are also amazing, and I wanted to try my hand at doing something similar. I love that they post their promotional schedules because you can see what is going to be coming on what days, and it helps me get more excited for a release. So that's the only reason I did that, but I realized it also gave me accountability. If I'd said I would post something that day and I felt a bit insecure and didn't know if I wanted to, I couldn't just not post it. I had already told everybody I was going to. Then the next day I'm a day behind and the days are all off kilter, so I had to just do it. Actually, the feedback I had from that was really good. There's definitely so much that I still have to learn, and I'm going to be learning so much more as I continue releasing more music next year. I'm working towards an EP project, which has also been a huge learning journey. All of this is to say two things. One, if you believe in what you do, have the talent, and put that energy out to other people, then you can go so much further than you believe. Trust in the process and don't hold yourself back. You just need to do it confidently. The second thing, you who is watching this right now, who has watched right to the end, have made a massive difference in my life, now enabling me to do something that I have been working for my whole life. I really believe that if there is something out there that you want, then you need to try it, because otherwise you will always wonder. At the end of the day, you have to be the driving force. For me, there were so many people pushing me to say, hey, you've got a great talent, you should be doing this full time, but they couldn't make me make the leap. I had to decide to do that on my own, and it was scary. It was a leap. You don't know if you're going to fall or if you're just going to reach the other side. You know, I wish I'd scripted this. This is all over the place, but it's fine. These will get better, so bear with me. So what is next? Well, I have a lot of goals, but in the meantime I feel really proud that I have met some incredible people who have helped me bring all of these songs together. I've been really enjoying figuring that out. Now, if I have similar successes to what I've achieved in my previous jobs, at least I'll know that these successes are mine. If I can do this well for another person or another company, why can't I do it for myself? That's the energy I'm taking into 2025. Thank you so much for listening and watching to the end. Bye. Make it through.